Fellow Gambians, on behalf of the Central Committee of the People's Progressive Party, the PPP, and on my own behalf, I extend greetings to all of you, particularly those Gambians both within and outside the Gambia. It is a known fact that since 1994, when some misguided elements of our armed forces overthrew the constitutionally democratic elected government of the people of the Gambia, we have seen unwitnessed the Gambia sliding into an absence of uncertainty and total failure. In the area of the economy, it is a known fact, and it is very glaring, that Gambia has now got one of the worst economic situations in Africa since independence, particularly because our currency has lost most of its value against other international currencies. And therefore, most Gambians are finding it now very difficult to make ends meet and to have a decent living. Before 1994, Gambia was the only English-speaking country in West Africa that has our currency recognized by the World Bank on the international tender. But now the dalasi has become virtually worthless both in the Gambia and outside the Gambia, and the present state of the economy and the present policies that this government are embarking upon, some of us see no future for an improvement in the economy. Before 1994, Gambians used to exchange the US dollar at $8 a dollar, and the British pound at $10 a pound, and the 5,000 CFA at $45. Today, the dollar is $44, the pound is $72, and the CFA 5,000 has now gone up to nearly $400. The goods, and as you all know, most of the food and essential commodities in this country are imported. Therefore, it has reached a ceiling, the prices of essential commodities that most Gambians cannot afford. For example, rice in 1994, before the coup, was $130. Today, the cheapest bag of rice, 50 kilo, is $1,200. The bag of sugar before 1994 was $110. Today, the cheapest bag of sugar is $1,250. Even meat was $35 before 1994. And today, meat and bone, a kilo, is $150. Not to talk about our fish. Fish is more expensive now than even meat. And we have not seen this government seriously trying to tackle the economic situation whereby they will redress and address the situation so as to alleviate the suffering that the Gambian people are going through. Salaries of civil servants are stagnant, while prices of essential commodities are soaring. Inflation is uncontrollable, and people who work in the civil service and the public service cannot make ends meet, because if you have a junior civil servant or a middle-level servant that receives between $2,000 and $3,000, and one bag of rice costs $1,200, and this person is renting and has a family, you will know that that person cannot survive on this. So that is why there is poverty, there is suffering. The diasporan people know these issues more than I do because Gambia today is afloat, is surviving, thanks to the remittances that the people in the diaspora, our children, our brothers, our sisters, our cousins, our nephews and our nieces, transfer for the maintenance of their families at home. In addition to all these difficulties, and there is no employment possibilities for the young people, there are a host of young people leaving school, but there is no amenities or institutions established so that these young people can be absorbed and become meaningful citizens of this country. And this is why young people in their doors have decided to take the back way because there is no hope. There is no more hope for the young people of this country. Nobody in his right sense wants to die. But it is because there is no hope. There is desperation. And of course, there is so much of violation of rights in this country. Human rights, rule of law, and good governance doesn't exist in the country. One of the worst governments now in Africa is the Gambian government, where people are being arrested and detained beyond the 72 hours stipulated by the Constitution with contempt and without respect to the rule of law. The frequency of dismissals and terminations of civil service and public servants is so alarming that I don't think that has never ever happened in the history of any African country. The frequent disappearances of Gambians in this our small country without the security services making any effort to trace them is something that is mind-boggling. The shooting of lawyer Usman Silla and the shooting of Deda Haidara to death, and up to now, after 10 years, no serious effort has been made on the part of government, particularly the security service, to investigate and bring these culprits and murderers to book. Is very serious. The continuous arrest, detention, harassment, and refusal of permits to opposition leaders and their supporters is an affront to the Gambian people and an affront to our democratic constitution. We have the right to support and organize and register political parties as stipulated in the Constitution in Section 25. And the President has sworn publicly to uphold and defend the Constitution. But today, there is continuous erosion of civil liberties in this country that has never been seen in the history of this country, even during the colonial days. The systematic harassment and arrest of journalists is continuing, and I'm telling you, the hostile environment with which the journalists of this country operate since 1994 is terrible. And I really commend the GUC, that the Gambia Journalists Association, for their steadfastness and determination to continue to inform and educate the Gambian people under such terrible conditions. The politicization of the civil service and other national institutions like the police and the army and the National Intelligence Agency is contrary with the constitution of this country. These are state institutions that should outlive governments. Governments go, governments come, but these state institutions stay to serve any government of the day. Therefore, they should not support political parties and they should not be politicized. Emphasis, they should not be politicized because it is against the grain of the national constitution, which is the supreme law of this land. Over-concentration of power in the hands of one individual is not good for any country. We are no longer interested in strong leaders. We are now interested in strong institutions that will outlive leaders. That is why in all democratic civilized countries, parties go, parties come, but the strong institutions of states are there to secure stability and peace. The total destruction of the democratic local culture in our villages and our districts is uncalled for. Since the colonial days, people were allowed to choose their own alcalis, that is village heads, and chiefs, their district heads. But today, Gambians are allowed to vote to choose their members of parliament and their president. But they are not allowed to choose who should be their village head or their district chief. This is undermining the constitution and an insult to the integrity of Gambians. Therefore, I ask you Gambians to once more come forward and support the PPP and the other opposition parties so that come 2016, all of us will stand up, both within the Gambia and those in the diaspora. Particularly those in the diaspora, I make this strong appeal for each and every one of you to talk to their families in the Gambia to support the opposition and to make sure also you impress on the leaders of the opposition for once to forget their personal, ideological, and other differences and come together for 2016 and put up a united candidate that will be our candidate for 2016. And I assure you that the present situation of the country and the feelings on the ground, Yahya Jammeh will be history if we go to the polls. For many Gambians in exile, I am sure you want to come back home because there is nothing like home. But most of you cannot come back because of the terrible governance situation and human rights situation of this country. So please stand up and support the opposition at home so that we will for once get rid of the dictatorship and reinstitute a government that believes in democracy, human rights, rule of law, a government that will put in place a good and sustainable governance program that will make every Gambian, old and young, within and outside the Gambia, proud to call Gambia home. I thank you all very much.